Okay, I'm trying to broaden my horizons a little bit and cover some other things within the comic books sphere. Obviously, I'm probably going to get into some video game stuff as well. But there was an article I saw on CBR that kind of caught my attention because it dealt with McFarlane Toys. Now, Todd McFarlane is probably one of the best guys in the industry as far as innovation and consistency is concerned. I think out of everybody at Image Comics, McFarlane was definitely the most consistent, as evidenced by the fact that Spawn is still ongoing to this day. He's one of those people that he doesn't seem content to just do that one thing. Like, he seems like a perfectionist and a control freak, but in a good way, if that makes sense. Not all control freaks are bad in that way. Some of them are. Some of them get a little OCD, but this is more dealing with McFarlane Toys. And before I get into this article, I'm going to go through a little rundown history of McFarlane Toys, because if you're into comic books, collectibles are part of that comic book space. Now, collectibles go beyond just comic books, but I think it's actually a big part of the comic book space. There's people who collect comic books who also collect a lot of these collectible figures. You can't see it in my space here, but I have some collectible figures all throughout my studio space here. I just don't have them, prominently displayed. Okay, so McFarlane Toys was founded in 1994 by Todd McFarlane, a Canadian comic book artist best known for his work on The Amazing Spider-Man and the creation of Spawn. The company emerged as a game changer in the action figure industry, setting a new standard for highly detailed collectible figures. It really did, too. It really did. I'm not the biggest collectible guy, but one thing I do know is McFarlane Toys was definitely putting out collectibles that were not like other, collectible toy manufacturers. Like, they were good, but he brought like perfection to the game, made everybody stand their game up. So how it started? Okay, the origin of McFarlane Toys is directly tied to Todd McFarlane's success in the comic book industry. In the early 90s, McFarlane had skyrocketed to fame with his dynamic artwork on Spider-Man and later Spawn, which became one of the top-selling independent comics ever. When it came time to produce Spawn merchandise, McFarlane was dissatisfied with the low-quality action figures that toy companies were offering to license. This happens a lot. I think a lot of industries are born out of a person went to someone else to do something, and they said to themselves, you're not doing this good. Like, what you're giving me is not put together right. I'm just going to go out and do it on my own. And that's what Todd McFarlane did. Now, it was risky. And I'm almost positive he put a lot of his own money into this. And man, did it pay off in dividends. He knew what he was looking for. This is the thing. I understand his mentality in this regard, because I would say, slightly OCD in my creative process. Like, there is a vision, and I would have never understood this had I not been putting these videos together. Like, there is a specific vision I have for the way I want my videos to come out, my thumbnails, what I want my titles to say. Like, I understand that if I handed this off to someone else and they produced something that was outside of the scope of my vision, I'm just going to say, I'll do it myself. And it seems like, now I'm not saying that's always the right way, right? So I will admit that. You do, depending on your size, your scope, and the work you put in, sometimes you need a team. It's hard to do it all yourself. The point I'm making is, you have your own vision, you know what you want, and somebody might offer you something, and you say to yourself, no, I'm not accepting this. This is not good. Like, what I had in my mind was completely opposite of what you gave me. Okay, so instead of compromising, he decided to create his own company and produce high-quality, highly detailed action figures. Originally named Todd Toys, The company had to change its name to McFarlane Toys after Mattel objected, claiming the name Todd Toys was too familiar to their Bobby doll line, Todd. So, when you got big hitters like that and they say, we don't like this name, you're going to have to change it. But hey, it still worked out. Okay, redefining an industry. McFarlane Toys stood out because of its groundbreaking approach to action figures. At the time, most action figures were simply blocky and aimed at kids. McFarlane flipped the script by targeting collectors, offering figures with extreme detail, realistic sculpts, and articulation. The company first produced Spawn action figures in 1994, which became a massive hit. One of those things where he just entered the market at the exact right time, and he saw something, he had a vision and saw something others weren't paying attention to. And the reason I've been so hyper focused on a lot of this lately, just looking at different business practices, different people that have done different things and what worked. The one thing that stands out to me is striking while the iron is hot is a big deal. It's a really big deal. Okay, from where Todd McFarlane Toys expanded its portfolio to include, horror icons like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Michael Myers, music legends like Kiss, Ozzy Osbourne, and Metallica, sports figures under the Sports Picks line, video game characters from franchises like Halo, Assassin's Creed, and Destiny. It's huge. It's huge. And I can imagine, I didn't look up the sales. Man, I cannot imagine what McFarlane Toys makes in sales. I'm sure it has got to be absolutely insane. Popular franchises like The Walking Dead, DC's Multiverse, and Stranger Things legacy. McFarlane Toys is often credited with revolutionizing the action figure market. Its influence forced other companies like NECA and Mezco to step up their game, pushing the whole industry toward higher quality collector focused products. Todd McFarlane Toys continues to be a major player, especially with its DC Multiverse line, producing some of the most detailed action figures on the market. Like I said, I am not the biggest action figure guy, but from all of the action figure stuff I look into, McFarlane Toys is always at the tip top of every list as far as quality and what you get. The company is a testament to Todd McFarlane's perfectionism and refusal to compromise on quality, turning what was once a small indie toy company into a giant in the collectible market. And it's funny because, he kind of took over the industry where there were other people that were definitely on top of the industry doing major things. He kind of came out of nowhere, but he noticed what was missing. And I think that's a common theme in the comic book industry, just as a whole. It seems like Image, right? Image noticed something that was missing in artists having creative control. And that's one of the things that allowed Image to just blow up. First mover advantage. They noticed it and they did something about it before anybody else. Well, there were other people that made attempts, but they just did it in a way that it was actually successful. Now, obviously, some of the initial launch titles of Image Comics, if you remember anything about that history, they had issues with, delivering and consistency. But again, a testament to Todd McFarlane because he is still doing his thing. Now, what prompted all this is I saw this article right here, and I heard that there's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle book that's actually doing really good. I may have to pick that up. I have one of the Ronin books, which that's a good series right there. Okay, it says McFarlane Toys has announced the signing of a new licensing agreement with Paramount Consumer Products, with the toy giant set to expand its comics collectibles with the coveted Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles brand. It's crazy to see McFarlane Toys referred to as a giant toy brand. Like when this thing, I remember when McFarlane Toys started, they were good, but they weren't a giant. And that was, oh man, what, some 30 years ago? A little bit over 30 years ago now? That's crazy. And this company is uh, doing amazing. The things that can change in a 30-year period. There were other companies that were definitely giants way ahead of McFarlane Toys. You'd have never thought McFarlane Toys would catch up. And that's actually kind of encouraging, because what it shows is, even though you might not have whatever your idea is, you might not have any kind of market share whatsoever, and you might start out extremely small. Now, obviously, Todd McFarlane had his celebrity to throw behind his brand, and he had some money. But I think it can be done. I think somebody small and, whatever industry can come along and really challenge the big guy. I tell you what, I wonder. I wonder if there's going to be a cartoon company that comes along and challenges some of the big studios. That might be the next tipping point right there. Some, unknown independent cartoonists get together and decide, you know what? We want to revisit cartoons and maybe make some better cartoons than we've been seeing. McFarlane Toys' upcoming TMNT series will feature highly detailed 5-inch collectible figures, each crafted with meticulous attention to detail and designed to capture the unique essence and personality of the iconic franchise characters. The fully articulated figures will arrive with a bonus for collectors and fans, including a reprinted classic comic book of an iconic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles stories from IDW Publishing. The hotly anticipated TMNT collection is set to launch in fall 2025 and will be available online and through selected retailers. Yo, shout out to McFarlane Toys, man. I would have never thought years ago, when I was a young teenager and this thing started, that it would be still going today. That's crazy. Legendary comic book creator and McFarlane Toys founder and CEO Todd McFarlane is excited about the new collaboration with Paramount and the opportunity to work with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles brand. You know what? And I believe them about this excitement. Seeing him at MegaCon and just watching him like interact with fans, you can tell this was like a genuine excitement. Like, of course, you're seeing, however many thousands of people. That'd be realistically, I mean, I know it's not the hardest job in the world, but just sitting there for hours, interacting with thousands of people, your social battery will be drained. But this dude, he really did seem like energized to talk to people. I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Maybe someone who did could, say something in the comments about how your interaction was. Or anybody who's met him at any point, what was your interaction like? As a lifelong comic fanatic and professional, this partnership is something that is near and dear to my heart, he said. I was there many decades ago when the very first issue of TMNT comic came out for sale, and I have watched from a distance as this franchise has blown up into a full-scale phenomenon worldwide, and it is. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is probably one of the most celebrated IPs in the comic book geek sphere. Now, of course, they branch beyond that into movies and cartoons, action figures, whatever, but you know what I mean. McFarlane continued to be able to join forces with the good folks at Paramount Consumer Products and bring some of the exciting figures from those original comics will set comic fandom on their heels. This is going to be fun for all of us. And I like to see that Todd McFarlane is still enjoying what he's doing. Like this, he is really having fun. Like this is not just a job for him. And people that have that kind of mentality in a space like this typically produce some of the best stuff. Senior Vice President of Consumer Products and Experiences at Paramount, Lourdes Araco, echoed Lourdes Araco echoed McFarlane's sentiment about the new partnership. We're excited to partner with McFarlane Toys on a new line of collectible figures for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Araco said. These figures are crafted with exceptional detail, capturing the dynamic personalities of TMNT, and we can't wait for fans to get a hold of them. I know that whoever saw these first, which I'm assuming it was, the president of Paramount. What did it say? Rocco was. Let me go back up. I forgot already. Products, the vice president of consumer products and experiences. So I know that it was just like, oh yeah, these are fire. Because you see it, like, even though, like I said, I'm not the biggest collectible guy, anywhere you go, when you see collectibles and you see something made by McFarlane Toys, you're like, yeah, this is crazy. Like it's like somebody lifted something out of the pages of a comic book, capturing every detail and making it into a mold of this character. It's super crazy. While fans wait for McFarlane Toys to roll out its TMNT toy line, Mondo currently has a figure inspired by a classic franchise villain available for pre-order. The company is bringing back its soft vinyl toys line, beginning with a brand new, highly detailed edition of Baxter Stockman. Oh, snap. Yeah, it's probably going to be dope. The toy comes complete with an anti-turtle swatter and a Mutazoo ray gun to take down the turtles. The Baxter Stockman soft vinyl figure also features an interchangeable partially transformed arm and translucent wings. Okay, that's probably gonna be dope. Like I said, I'm not the biggest in collectibles. I do have some around my space, but I'm sure for people who are really into collectibles, this McFarlane deal is probably something that has gotten them excited. What do you think about this?